like a memory or a piece of music or a poem, and you'll have glimpses of it, and he'll have captured little bits of that in there, and I can see it, like, oh, that's the way this person would carry themselves or hold themselves, or just the way some people looked when they were around the fire. And I can barely remember some of it. It's different now, but I can still see it, the way the families looked, the way they carried themselves. I see it in his work. Sometimes it's like there are people there. I can see, if you look at a sculpture, I can see that he's seen somebody and he's capturing, like he's caught them, capturing some piece of them that he saw, and they're alive.
Dine, Navajo word for people, is on a due west course in the back field. And it's nice to be able to be around people that aren't going anywhere. They've stopped for the day. They're watching the sun go down. This one is so chic. She's so au courant. She's so in the world. It didn't matter which year.
And I think his sculpture is as good as any American sculptor that we've come across, certainly in this century. It's unique. He created a different type and showed Native Americans, so it has the history and the tradition that's part of it, but it's very modern in other parts of it. You get a feel for both of it, and both of those things. He just was a very, very talented artist, and you can feel that every time you see or look at one of his pieces.
I get an idea, and it's usually put on my sketch pad, and then if it looks interesting enough, I'll have maybe 5 or 6, maybe even more sketches, you know, of that one particular idea. And I try to pick one that I think is going to work better in 3 dimensions than the other. And then I'll work it up in clay so that I can see. I'll have it on a turntable where I can turn it around and pick it up and look at it underneath, as well as revolve it so I can see how all sides are working.
When we first started coming down to New Mexico on vacations and enjoying this fantastic countryside, we saw some of Allan's work and just became so attracted to it immediately. One of the things that really attracted us to Houser's work is the feeling that you get from it. It's always strong. There's always something there that is telling a story to you that attracts him to us, and they're very, very powerful pieces. It's more than just a piece of art or more than just a piece of bronze. It's got a real story behind it. There is a spiritual feeling, particularly a piece like the Water Spirit Bird. We enjoy his realism and his abstract art. But there's a feeling in some of his abstract art that comes across that not in the way it does in his realistic art. That's wonderful. Well, I think art is a very personal thing, and you only enjoy what you personally like. As I said before, we don't collect for investment's sake or anything. We just collect the art that we really want to live with.
Allan was constantly making abstract pieces, and there was no perceived market. And the galleries he dealt with would put his pieces in a corner or in a warehouse or hide them because they didn't know what to do with them. here's a new art form that people were familiar with in the international market, but in the Southwest they didn't have the slightest idea what this was. Why would an Indian artist do an abstract piece? But Allan was constantly looking at contemporary art all over the world, and he felt that he had a contemporary statement to make, and he made it.
He blazed the trail, and that's difficult because those that follow have an easier path, and he carried a burden in doing so. But towards the end, he wasn't under any pressure to prove himself anymore. I think that's at that point is when his artwork started to blossom. That's when the abstract form started to come in, the freedom of expression.
It's just remarkable that the first child born in freedom could come up and be the greatest artist and one of the most creative persons ever. It defies logic, except that I think that there's some kind of role in genetics here, that he represented our whole people, and he was our handhold into the future. And he didn't even know that. He wouldn't accept that. He would say, no, I'm just me. But he did represent something. He came from somewhere. And it was this tremendous, tremendous spiritual feeling of being an Apache.
I'm using a style that I think is, it's something that I've created myself. And I'm hoping that, I don't know that it's going to live on and on and on, the interest as it is today. But I have a feeling that it will because of the way I designed it. I think that has a lot to do with it. I think that my work will go on and I'm going to leave something for a lot of people to enjoy for a long time.